All right, everyone. Kevin Michael Schmitz here, and I am so excited to have all of you guys on. I am a celebrity fashion photographer. I shoot campaigns for Burberry, for Georgio Armani, and I shoot six-figure campaigns. I've been doing that my entire career for the last 18 years. Now, I also have been able to transition, not just from becoming a celebrity fashion photographer, but also to becoming a TV director, executive producer, and also a TV host of the television show Great Escapes that airs on CBS. So I'm going to be showcasing today some filming mastery for photographers. Now, I know many of you guys all, mostly shoot with SLRs and mirrorless cameras. And the cool thing is that us as photographers, we all now have the equipment to film high-end video production. Now, what's really cool about that is that for many years, that was something that wasn't really accessible for photographers. It was something that oftentimes, we're shooting with giant Alexa cameras and Red cameras. And those are some world-class high-end motion picture cameras, but they're a little bit crazy, a little bit big production for a lot of us as photographers. And it can be a little bit scary when you're basically tasked with shooting with a giant motion picture camera. And it's like, hey, what do we even do? How do you even be able to manage something like that? How do you pull focus and be able to shoot with a massive scale production camera? This would be an example of one. An Arri Alexa. This is a big motion picture camera. And when it's all tricked out, it can be pretty intense and pretty over the top, shooting large scale productions. Now, this is, I would say, the gold standard with shooting, Arri Alexa cameras when you're doing high-end motion picture. Same with high-end Red cameras. Those tend to be what a lot of major movies and big TV shows and television commercials are using. However, that being said, us as photographers, what's really cool is that we have the opportunity to shoot incredible content with world-class cameras that are available to us as photographers, and to be able to shoot content like this, where we are shooting with DJI Ronins, which are stabilizing gimbals. And that right there in that picture, that's a Canon R5. It's a photographic camera, and it's a great camera. But a lot of you guys have cameras similar to this, or you might even have this. But no matter what camera that you guys shoot with today, that's okay. I mean, pretty much any camera, even in the made in the last decade, that is a photographic camera, also shoots video. And oftentimes they're really high end. So like, for instance, this camera shoots in 8K at 30 frames a second, which is insane. 8K at 30 frames a second is really, really, really high end. And also it shoots at 4K at 120 frames a second, which is slow motion. Now, what's great about that is that, when you're shooting, if you're somebody like me who shoots a lot of fashion or shoots a lot of lifestyle photography, I tend to love doing stuff with a lot of slow motion. I am obsessed with slow-mo, and it's great for what we call B-roll, which is shooting content with, models running around, models posing, models enjoying life and having amazing experiences, but also making sure that it looks really solid and beautiful. And I know many of you guys have, seen a lot of the stuff, a lot of the videos and stuff we've produced at our epic workshops. But I'm going to be talking a little bit about how we do some of this content and why it's so important to also be able to shoot video as a photographer. And as you can see, like a lot of these, you can see the photographic image, and these are all award-winning images shot by our attendees of the photography workshop series. But what's cool is that at every one of our productions, we also are shooting with SLR cameras or mirrorless cameras on gimbals and creating a video version of the photographic scene. And that way we can use that video on our websites. We can market ourselves and be able to create that mind-blowing vision, vibe, and brand that clients absolutely fall in love with. Now I actually, I'm in the midst right now of directing our Photographers University for this current session, and it's been an incredible experience. But I even had an expert panelist on just a few days ago named Joe Lombardo with Curated Artists. He's a world-class New York agent. He reps some of the biggest photographers and directors in the world. And he was actually on talking about his photographer and director who shoots Gucci campaigns. And he landed the Gucci campaign for them. Now, what was really important for Gucci was not only the beautiful photography that the photographer was shooting, it was also because the photographer could also shoot video of it, right? And I think that that's really, really important to be able to shoot the video version of the photography. And that's something that Joe was able to bring to the table and showcase to the client. And it completely made them fall in love with this photographer and book them on a Gucci campaign, which I thought was amazing. Now, when you're shooting something like that, you also have to think like a cinematographer or director. And that's something I want to talk about today. So how do we do it? What is different between shooting as a photographer and shooting as a director or cinematographer? Now, and let me explain kind of the difference of what those are, right? So, you know, I know you guys have all heard these terms, and oftentimes I think that there is a little bit of a misunderstanding of what the terms actually mean between a director, a cinematographer / director of photography, and a camera operator. Now, what many of us all are, we're photographers, right? And what that really means is that we are directing our photo shoots. We're telling the models what to do. We're casting, we're selecting the models. We're producing the shoot, making all the magic happen. Most photographers produce their own shoots. A few don't, and they hire producers. But a lot of photographers produce their own shoots, meaning coordinating, making sure all the details are perfect, casting the models, coordinating all the equipment, the locations, and all of that. And I know many of you guys do that. So as a photographer, we're kind of this jack of all trades. We're acting as a casting director, a producer, a director, a cinematographer, a camera operator. We're often organize the catering. We're going to organize the stylists, the hair, the makeup, the wardrobe, sometimes even giving our own direction for the fashion as far as fashion direction. I know I personally do. I'll bring on a world-class fashion stylist, but oftentimes I'm also going to be directing a lot of the fashion myself. So I'm also a fashion director. So all of these things, what that means is that we're wearing a lot of hats. We really are. We're wearing a lot of hats as a photographer, right? So if we're going to wear a lot of hats, it's also really important to realize like what our role is. And we're doing all of those things. And what's interesting is that being a photographer is actually a lot harder than being a director or a cinematographer or a camera operator. And the reason is because when you're shooting as a cinematographer, for instance, you're only doing one role. And as a photographer, we're doing a dozen roles. We're doing all these different things. And as a cinematographer, you're only doing one thing. Now, the difference between each role, though, is really important to know. And some of a lot of you guys have the misconception and think that the cinematographer is operating camera, which is actually not true. It's very unusual for a cinematographer to operate the camera. In fact, I know this sounds a little crazy, but oftentimes the cinematographer doesn't really know that much about the camera. They have a camera operator who's operating the camera. And I know that seems a little silly, but it actually is the truth. The cinematographer is essentially in charge of all of the lighting, the feeling, the look, the feel, where the lights are going to be, where the cameras are going to be placed, and what the camera operators need to do. What type of look and feel are they going for? What kind of focal length on the lenses, and all of those things. They're responsible for the entire visual side of the video. And the director, the person who's the director of the shoot, is generally responsible for everything, but mostly they're going to be dealing with the talent, dealing with the actors, dealing with the models. So dealing with the people that are involved. The director's generally managing those people. And they do have a say over the overall visuals in some regards. They're going to kind of, tell that to their cinematographer, but it's really the cinematographer who's going to be doing most of the visuals. And the director is going to be doing more of the actual directing of the talent. So just to kind of give you guys a little bit of understanding of the difference between those roles. Now, I'm going to show you guys a bunch of examples of kind of stuff that we've been doing at our productions. And these were all shot by attendees, for instance, of the photography workshop series, which is amazing and really exciting. And they are able to shoot content that looks like this. It's absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. It's totally over the top. And it's stuff that I get really, really excited about because the content is beautiful and all the little details and the nuances of the production come into place. And so as a cinematographer is thinking of the visuals, meaning like, hey, there's oftentimes two cameras. We're going to have a camera A, a camera B, sometimes even a camera C, or even onwards and more. I actually have one of my camera operators actually worked as a camera operator for James Cameron for Avatar. He did the two of the Avatar films, and he was one of the camera operators. And they would often be shooting with like 18 or 20 cameras or more for every scene, which is insane. I can't even fathom the complications of that. But he was, filming a lot of that stuff, and he's, very good at like handling all of those details, but just being one of those cameras, right? But most of the time, for most productions, we're generally shooting with two cameras. Okay. Now, one of the cameras is going to be, shooting in one direction. Another camera is going to be shooting in another direction. Oftentimes trying to capture essentially the sequence, but from two different vantage points. That way, in post-production, what we can do is we can essentially pivot from one vantage point to the next. One vantage point to the next, back and forth, back and forth. This works really, really well, especially when you're doing anything narrative, when somebody's talking on film and, we have one camera, angling at them and then the other camera angling a different direction on them, or maybe the person that they're also talking to. And that way we can capture it, recording audio separately, oftentimes with a boom mic, and then we're filming with two different directions on that character, that person who's talking. And that way in post-production, it's really easy to seamlessly go through back and forth and edit back and forth. What you don't want is what we call a jump cut. And a jump cut is when you have a scene and you're moving, essentially you're editing and going from one scene to the next, or one clip to the next in the scene, but you don't have a different angle and you're trying to essentially skip from the same angle to the same angle, and it looks like a jump cut. It looks messy. So we don't want to do that. That's one of the reasons you might have two different angles, two different cameras, right? Now, if you're shooting what we call B-roll, like in this case, this is just video of the models moving around. This is, from one of our epic workshops where we had scaffolding. We produced this with these Vogue models. We shot out in the desert. We did this amazing production, but you don't necessarily have to do two cameras here. You could actually shoot, because they're not speaking, you could do a sequence with one camera, and then you can basically do the same sequence shooting it from another angle. Because they're not talking, it's not as big of a deal, and you can still make it look really seamless, right? So those are things that are very, very, very important to remember when you're shooting video. Also, I want you guys to think about one thing I like to think about when I'm shooting video is also, as a photographer, oftentimes we're trying to frame the scene where we have, like, say, the model in the center of the frame, even just like right now, right? You're seeing my face in the center of the frame. And as a photographer, I always coach photographers to shoot for editorial, meaning the intention is to get published, right? Is to get your photography published. And if you're going to get published in a magazine, it doesn't always work very well if you have the person's face in the center of the screen. So oftentimes I recommend maybe the model's face over here. That way there's a seam down the middle, face to one side. On this other side, you can have copy, and you can have, the editorial written out, things like that. Now, when you're photographing, though, you always have somebody in the scene, in the frame, right? You've got the model's face, or, either it's in the middle or it's off to one side, typically. When you're doing video, though, we have to think about it differently. And one of the ways, and I want to, I'm trying to use language that makes sense to photographers, but essentially one of the things that I like to do when I'm shooting video is I want to start thinking about, okay, when I'm filming this, right? When I'm filming this sequence, I need to start thinking about where the edits are going to go and how it's going to be clipped together. So in other words, you don't necessarily always film something with the model's face in the center, or even the model's face off to one side. You're going to be filming something oftentimes where I'm filming out of frame, into frame, out of frame, meaning, like, say the talent is right in the center, like I'm looking at you right now, and the camera is going to be, the camera operator is going to be filming from side to side, one side going through and then out of frame. And that's going to be all one take focused on my face. And I might do it from the other side. I might go from one side into frame, out of frame. I might also do from down to up and up to down. Those are all really common techniques I like to use when filming. And I'm shooting oftentimes, I have the SLR camera on a gimbal, on a Ronin. My favorite, this DJI Ronin, the 2 and the 3 are both fantastic. I love them and I use them religiously on all my productions. Everything that you're seeing, you guys, is pretty much shot on the gimbal, on the Ronin. Almost all of them, almost exclusively. They're all shot on the gimbal, and they look beautiful, right? It's a great look and feel. Now, when I'm shooting with the gimbal, I also have the option to do a lot of action, a lot of movement, a lot of feel. And when I'm doing that, that's where a lot of photographers struggle when I'm coaching them, because a lot of them, they're not used to this. So oftentimes they're trying to like move the gimbal to frame the person's face, and that's not what you need to do. So I want you to think about that when you're essentially filming. I want you to start thinking about into frame, out of frame, into frame, out of frame. I want you to think about down to up, side to side, maybe do a 360 around the talent, right? Then creating scenes where you're shooting at different focal lengths. And by the way, this is some of the content shot at our New York fashion photography workshop that we did. And these are all from different days, shooting at different locations, shooting all these amazing scenes with these top models and everything. It's gorgeous. And you'll also notice scenes like that where the model is walking towards me, right? Or I'm walking towards them. Love, love, love that kind of sequence. So we talked about into frame, out of frame, into frame, but also things like this where the model's walking, we're walking towards them or we're walking away from them. And that way you can get a really, really nice feel, or like following them. This is another great one. We're following them with a low angle, then following them from the side. And oftentimes I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be following right behind them, then pulling back right in front of them, then maybe doing a low angle shot, capturing just the feet, maybe then a tight shot with a long lens, capturing just the face. And then that way you can capture that beautiful moment of the feeling of the face. Love doing stuff like that. So when I'm shooting these sequences, it's really important, you guys, to make sure that when you guys are filming it, remember the final edit. We want to start thinking about that final edit, because that's what it's going to look like. And if it all looks like it's shot by a photographer all from one angle, it's not going to look as clean. It's not going to look as cinematic. So I do encourage you guys to always be shooting it with the intention that it's going to look like a motion picture or a fashion film. And those are absolutely breathtaking. And I encourage you guys to create fashion films, because they can be great hosted on your website. They can also look amazing and submitted there's actually awards, fashion film awards. They do that in San Diego every year in La Jolla. They do the fashion film awards, which are absolutely amazing. If you guys haven't been, I strongly recommend. I've gone multiple years and I've had friends win those awards. I actually haven't submitted one yet, but I'm thinking about creating something fabulous. And it's almost like creating kind of like a music video, but for a fashion brand. And I think that it's a really, really cool thing to do. But this is another one where it becomes a little bit more like a real, motion picture. This was shot from like a Mad Max story. And the photographers that attended this workshop with me, we actually designed this at our Elite Masterclass. And we not only photographed this, and my photographers won in the top 10 fashion photographers in the world award and top 10 fashion photographers in America award, all from attending this workshop, which was absolutely incredible. It got everyone really, really excited. And to win those awards was absolutely huge for their photographic career, because it obviously catapults you to another level if you're winning awards. It's a really, really big deal. And the images shot were absolutely breathtaking, because they were not only photographic, but also because we had video involved, it also created essentially something very cinematic. These are some of the award-winning images, actually, where they won top 10 fashion photographers in America award. And I believe like 2 or 3 of these were shot at this workshop alone on that Mad Max day. It was amazing. And these photographers won in the top 10 fashion photographers in America award, the One Island Awards, which was amazing. So it's really cool to see. But when we're thinking about not just photography, we're thinking about shooting cinema. And remember, the cinematographer is coming up with the design, the creative viewpoints of where the cameras are shooting from. Oftentimes are setting the exposure, lenses, camera angles, those things. the director is kind of telling the cinematographer how the feel and look needs to be so that they can execute it. And then the camera operators are the ones actually operating the cameras. They're the ones actually operating those cinematic cameras. And whether you're shooting with, you know, say an Alexa, an Arri Alexa, or a Red camera, or maybe you're shooting with you know, one of your, like a mirrorless or SLR camera and a photographic camera, absolutely. I shoot with them all the time, even on big campaigns. You know, when I shot for tons of my campaigns, I've actually shot with photographic cameras as well. Depends on what the client's looking for. Sometimes I'll shoot with a Red or an Alexa. Sometimes I'll be shooting with the R5 or the R5C, which has a cooling system on the back of it. But as a photographer, I want you guys to just think about capturing as much content as possible. And that way, and from all the different angles, all the different focal lengths, and also in that method that I'm saying about into frame, out of frame, into frame following, all those different things, because when it comes down to it and you go into that edit, you don't have to worry about jump cuts, and you can just have absolutely beautiful, beautiful content. Really, really awesome, and really makes a difference when you're capturing your photography on film, is essentially what it is. Now, when we're doing something like this is actually just some raw content shot out of camera that we shot actually at our New York workshop. We shot this at a $40 million mansion in Greenwich, Connecticut. And we also shot at the Vanderbilt estate. We shot these unbelievable top models that have been in the Versace campaign. We also shot with a Vogue fashion stylist. But this is actually just the camera rolling. This is effectively almost an unedited video. This is just a series of clips, just unedited together. But this gives you an idea. This is like some video shot from a single vantage point, filming the scene. This is actually in a regular 30 frames a second. So it's slow. This is slow-mo. This is 120 frames a second. And you'll notice that the model is, you know, the camera was moving from side to side, right? This one we're moving a little bit in, kind of getting a little like close-up shot, moving it out. That one gets a little distorted, so I probably would cut that. You know, and remember, when we're filming something like this, we're only going to take like a 1 second clip. That's a gorgeous clip right there. That's probably one I would take, that up-close shot. We also notice that we're shooting up close, middle, and also wide. And that's also really important. I think that when you're filming something, it's really important to have like an establishing shot, like a nice big wide shot. Then you come in and have a mid-range shot. You might have a tight shot. You might go back to a mid-range shot. You shoot different angles of each of those. And then in post-production, you get to select. Now, personally, you know, if I'm editing, I'm generally not, I'm not the main video editor. I'm a director, cinematographer, photographer, camera operator. I do all of that. But I'll generally sit with my editor and I will essentially coach them through how my vision needs to come to life. And I recommend you guys do that too. Don't just leave it into the hands of a video editor, because they're often not going to do it the way you want them to do it. Definitely start to think about when you're actually sitting down to edit, make sure that you're a part of it. And if you can sit next to the editor, I strongly recommend it, because it will make your content that much better. And when you're editing something together, and again, this is just raw footage. These are just clips of raw footage. This is again in slow-mo. I would only take maybe 1 to 1.5 seconds of each one of these clips, and then I would put it together into you know, my final scene. And but obviously the content needs to look good. And one of the challenges that people do that are in, say, the cinema industry, so say they're camera operators or directors or cinematographers, oftentimes they struggle in the early days because the cost of production is really, really high. And for them to kind of have ownership of that production, they need to, you know, essentially be a big part of all aspects of it. So they can't just be a hired, you know, hand to just be a camera operator and claim that they're a director. And that happens a lot. So oftentimes, remember, if you're going to be saying, hey, this is my production, I directed this, you also need to make sure that you have hands on all of it, right? Now, this is why a lot of cinematographers, camera operators, and directors, they actually struggle in the beginning getting really great content for their portfolio, for the reel, because it's very expensive to produce. And oftentimes talent, meaning actors, are not as beautiful as models, so their talent isn't as strong. However, something like this at our Epic New York workshop, you'll notice these are all models that have been in Vogue and Harper's Bazaar and Elle and Versace campaigns. So the talent is completely over the top. The location right here, $40 million mansion. Unbelievable. It's absolutely astounding level and quality of production. And to have that in your cinema reel is absolutely gold. It is something that I cannot tell you how important this is to have in your video reel. But you'll also notice I'm capturing all these little moments, and I'm also coaching the talent into movements. So instead of, as a photographer, thinking like, hey, I just need that model to stay still and then maybe do this pose, do that pose, you know, like this model, right? And this is a little shaky, so I'd probably cut that right there. But this model's just, you know, she's standing there, she's moving her dress and stuff like that. Okay, that's interesting, kind of. But I find it a lot more interesting when there's like a sequential movement of somebody, say, like walking, right? So like if I'm going to be shooting something really dynamic with video, I like something more like this. And you see we're pulling back, camera operator's pulling back and moving with the model as she's moving, and I'm directing her to move and create that movement, which I find really, really, really interesting, right? Now, this is a little shaky. I'd probably cut that. So make sure that you're also very, very stable when you're shooting and you're not moving your hands when you're operating the gimbal, that it's very smooth. Also, another way to make it even smoother, of course, is to shoot with an aerial drone. And you know, and you can shoot even smoother stuff if you're actually filming with a drone, which I personally love. I'm a big fan of shooting with drones and even using them kind of like a stabilizing gimbal, because when you're shooting with a drone, you know, you don't have the human element where, you know, the human element could make a mistake and actually move and adjust and mess up the drone, or mess up the camera. But with a drone, everything is nice and smooth and flawless, which I personally have a big affinity to. So I actually use oftentimes an aerial drone kind of as a stabilizing gimbal, even if it's not like a high up aerial shot, but it's something that's maybe on the ground, and I want to create something that is going to match the shooting with the R5. And I want that, at that same quality. So to give you, an idea of this, I'll actually just, show you guys some more stuff. This is actually filmed at our New York production. By the way, we have another one coming up in September. And it's absolutely, one of the most epic productions we do of the year. Everybody falls in love with it. But this is something that, this is some content. This one's a little bit more edited together with scenes, aerial shots of the entire location, tight shots of the model's face, back to aerial shots, and it's showcasing a lot of variants that we're shooting between the drone, the gimbal, and also like tripod. So it has a lot of different variation here. And when you're doing this, you can start to tell a little bit more of a story, right? About the location, the talent, the sequences, and all of that stuff. Because essentially, when you are filming, you're storytelling. I would say even more so than as a photographer, because when you're filming, oftentimes you might even be incorporating narrative, meaning people speaking, right? So all of this is super, super, super important. And I want to make sure that you guys are telling stories. And the best way to do that is with video. So if you guys are not currently filming video, you guys should. You should all be filming beautiful video all the time, especially with your beautiful, SLR cameras and mirrorless cameras, because they can do it. They can shoot amazing stuff. Just don't be afraid of doing it. I say just go out and test it, start to get familiar. If you don't have a stabilizing gimbal already, I strongly recommend getting one. They have some at all levels of cost. You can get cheap ones in the $100 to $200 range. You can get the more higher end ones, like the ones that I shoot with here, the DJI Ronins. They're a little bit pricier, but you can still get a really, really nice Ronin for like $500. I mean the RS3 I think is like $470 or something like that. I mean, it's very, very, very inexpensive compared to your camera. But I bring my gimbal everywhere, and I absolutely love it because the gimbal just creates magical, beautiful content. I mean, just absolutely spectacular. And I am a huge fan of having world-class content filmed with world-class equipment to create these amazing moments. And if you don't have the right equipment, I mean, you're not gonna be able to do it. And I've also seen a lot of photographers make the mistake of not using a stabilizer and just hand holding, which is crazy. And I can't tell you how silly that is. Never, ever, 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 ever shoot video with just holding your camera. Sorry, but it just won't work. It just simply won't work. When you're just essentially holding your camera, I don't care how steady your hands are. I don't care how, good you are being stable. It will never look that good compared to a gimbal. It just won't. Okay. And even with a gimbal, you have to be careful and you have to be steady. I mean, you saw some clips there that had a little bit of movement. That was with a gimbal. But if you're holding your camera, it's never going to look good. And you're hoping that like maybe you're stabilizing, button on your camera is going to fix it. It's not. It's never going to look that good. You always want it to be as solid as possible in the very beginning. Make sure that you're shooting with either a tripod, with a gimbal, or you could use a slider, which is essentially putting it on a long rail, the camera on a rail, and it goes back to, back and forth on a rail. I shoot with those a lot. Or oftentimes they use cranes, which is essentially like a big, there's a bunch of different types of cranes that you can operate with cameras on it. Or of course with an aerial drone, which I love. And then if you're shooting underwater, it gets a little bit trickier. That's one that's very, very hard because of the buoyancy. And if you are shooting underwater, I actually have some tips and strategies for you guys as well, because I do a ton of that for my television show, Great Escapes. I do a lot of underwater content. And when I'm shooting underwater, that's something that I recommend definitely always have a diver with you, or you are diving with a tank. Because if you try to do it handheld, it's never going to look that good, okay? It just simply won't. Now, you're going to see some underwater content shot here. This was actually for my TV travel show, Great Escapes. This was with stabilizing gimbals as well as with aerial drones. And this underwater shot right there that you saw, it was very stable and perfect because I had a diver. The diver makes all the difference. Okay. So when you're shooting with a diver, the diver is going to be buoyant, and they're going to be being able to operate the camera in a way in which it's not going to be moving all over the place. It's essentially kind of like an underwater gimbal. So always have a diver. I don't care how good you are at free diving. You will be moving your hands all the time because of water. You're moving with the water. Okay. Now, there are some rare circumstances I've had where like I'm standing in 3 feet of water and I want to shoot standing, and I literally stand and do it. Even then it's hard. Even then it's actually hard, even in 3 feet of water. I still recommend having a tank. It will make all the difference in the world. And the way I film is essentially I will bring a diver in, and even if the diver has no idea what they're doing with a camera, I literally get everything all set up. I press record and I tell them to just either stay here and stay still, or move this direction. And I'll physically grab the diver and move them from side to side, or move them front and back. But they're just holding the camera. So that would be my recommendation. And I personally have a hard time with the pressure in my ears. So oftentimes I'm personally not diving as much because I prefer to stay, more in the snorkel level of the water. But I'll manage with the divers. Very, very, very important. And that way you can get really beautiful content. Anyway, and a lot of this content you guys are seeing here, even for my TV show, almost all of it was shot with an R5, which is beautiful. Right? A lot of this was shot with the R5. So even for cinema, in fact, I believe right now, even at Netflix's, they have each TV network has their own parameters as far as like what cameras that they allow you to film with for distribution. And actually, you just read up on it. And Netflix's, even now, even in this year, in 2024, their parameters for cameras, meaning their specs, all they actually request as the minimum is they have certain cameras, and you actually can shoot with a Canon R5C to air on Netflix right now for upcoming shows that are going to be coming out in 2025. So the Canon R5C, which is a photographic camera that's adapted to shoot a lot of video. I have this camera. This is one that meets all the specs right now for Netflix. So believe it or not, your cameras can do it, you guys. They totally can do it. Now, if you guys have any questions, I do encourage you guys to ask them. Now is a really, really good time. We have a nice large audience on right now, and your questions are always really valuable. I also strongly encourage you guys to join us. We actually have an opportunity for each and every one of you to set up a one-on-one photographic and filming momentum session, whether it's to go over filming as a photographer, go over your photographic portfolio or developing your video reel, or it's to develop your journey going forward for 2024 and 2025 for your career. Whatever it is you want to specifically target, I have a team of world-class coaches that coach photographers and filmmakers on how to master their business. This is totally free. I'm offering it because I strongly believe in helping my photographers and directors become extremely successful. I have a vision for that. And I've been doing this. I've been directing the photography workshop series for the last 15 years, and I've been able to help thousands and thousands of photographers maximize their career. And I'm really grateful for all the unbelievable success that has happened because of everything we've instituted with the photography workshop series. And of course, all these amazing awards that we've been winning. I'm so proud of my photographers. And I encourage them to enter in awards every year. They keep winning over and over and over again. It's extremely exciting. So if you guys haven't done it already, please click on the offer here on the right. It's totally free. I just want you guys to click on it, set up a photographic momentum plan with one of my team members. They will jump on live with you, give you one-on-one undivided attention, and help you with maximizing your vision, your goal. Now, whether it's maximizing filming as a photographer, whether it's producing shoots, I have people that are geniuses in each and every one of these things. For instance, Priscilla, who's worked with me now for the last 5 years, she's helped produce a lot of the scenes, almost all of the scenes that you see in these award-winning images. Priscilla was behind as a production coordinator. So if you want to talk to Priscilla, for instance, she's a genius at that. And she maximizes all these world-class sequences, and she knows how to do it. Or if you want to, a coach that's really excellent at maximizing your business, making you more money, helping you with your marketing and everything like that, you can speak to one of my other amazing coaches like Eric, Vicente, Morgan, one of my amazing people that can help you, guide you, and we can assign you somebody that will personally help coach you every step of the way. And I believe my coaches are actually on live right now, most of them. So I'd love for them to jump on with you guys and set a Zoom up even immediately following this session, which I do strongly recommend as well, because, why not do it now? Why not, while everything's fresh in your mind, let's go and do it now and take it to the next level. Now, because I've been filming in the Maldives here for the last 29 days, and I've been filming at all these unbelievable 5-star resorts, which has been incredible, including the Ritz-Carlton, NH Collection, Jawakara, and Shanshiamalavelli. I've had the opportunity to shoot some of those mind-blowing content, and I'm really excited about everything we've been doing. And then I wanted to I filmed this, and I wanted to show it to you guys right now. This was a little scene that I shot just like last week. And this is at Ritz-Carlton, Maldives. We're filming one of the most world-class 5-star resorts in the world. Probably, and I've been to plenty of Ritz-Carltons as well as all over the world, in Abu Dhabi and in Hawaii and in the United States, as well as in the Maldives. And I have to say, this was the best I've ever been to. This resort was, it's also $3,000 a night and it's ultra luxury. But I have to say, this is one of those that's worth it. It is one of those that is absolutely ridiculous as far as the quality, the experience, every aspect of the Ritz-Carlton Maldives is out of this world. And of course, the resort's beautiful itself, but I'm shooting here with my co-host, Priscilla, who is a co-host of my TV show for Great Escapes, airs on CBS. And I'm shooting these sequences. And you'll notice in this video, I'm shooting with all these, I'm shooting with drones. I'm shooting with stabilizing gimbals, shooting with the R5, obviously a drone here, drone there. And I'm also shooting these sequences, but from all these different angles. I'm capturing her walking as she's walking towards. I kind of have this establishing shot. Boom, she's looking out. Tight shot on her. Then another medium shot. Another tight shot on her. I'm moving the camera right to left, up and down, side to side. She's swishing her hair, capturing that moment. And this is kind of like at the villa. Then, boom, she's outside of the villa, walking from the villa down to the ocean, and she's having this amazing experience. She's happy. Her hair is flowing. She's smiling. She's enjoying it. And it's also for the Ritz. So I'm making it, I want to make it like fun and and cool and happy and a little sexy, but I don't want it too far in the sexy direction. So it needs to still be more playful, positive, high end, because that's the Ritz brand, right? So that's the look, feel, and style that I went with for this. And also, it has a little bit of moodiness too. It's a little, if you look at the Ritz brand, they kind of go with a little bit more of the moodiness, a little bit darker kind of feel, and they're telling a lot of stories. So that's what I'm doing here. And this is just a very, simple sequence, but it's something that I would strongly encourage you guys to do something like this in your own scenes. When you're doing a photo shoot, for instance, why not shoot a video sequence like this? But you'll notice all the different angles I shot. For the same sequence there, I shot like 5 different angles, and then I edited it all together, and there's no jump cuts. Everything is just seamlessly moving from one to the next, and it looks absolutely spectacular. Strongly recommend it. When you guys are thinking about all of this, also remember that in the end goal of things, as a photographer, you can make a lot of money as a commercial photographer, but you can make way more money shooting video production. Way more money. We just did our Miami Beach workshop that I was just at, like literally, last month. And we had this amazing panelist on, Mario Gomez, who is a world-class creative director for Publicis Sapient. And he is doing campaigns for Maserati, for Alfa Romeo, for Fiat, for Chrysler, Dodge, all these amazing brands. And he's regularly shooting with $700,000 campaigns. That's what he's paying the photographer, who's also shooting video. But the reason those budgets are high is because they're not just doing photography, they're doing video too. And that's where the budgets escalate, is when you're doing video. And that's where you can massively increase how much money you're making. So if you guys, if you want to make $700,000 on a shoot, why not start shooting video? Because the opportunities are going to be there. And, Mario, who was there, was actually very, very interested in working with some of our photographers that attended the workshop, because they're shooting world-class video with me on stabilizing gimbals. In fact, he was so excited about what we're doing, he wants to get Publicis Sapient involved in our upcoming masterclass in October on lifestyle commercial advertising, and also including these premier show cars, the newest models, the newest 2024, 2025 models, and actually having camera-ready cars that he wants to incorporate and almost do kind of a hybrid campaign that we're going to be coordinating with the agency, which is really, really exciting. And that workshop's completely sold out. So I know many of you guys on right now are enrolled in that, which is exciting. I mean, it's completely sold out. So it's a really exciting experience. But if you guys did want to get on the wait list for that, let me know. Or if you wanted to get involved in one of the upcoming experiences that we do have a space or two open at, because our workshops are filling up crazy fast this year because of how unbelievable the experiences are. Now, at every single one of these productions, you guys, I will teach you in depth everything you need to know about how to do not only world-class production that's all provided for you at the same scale of $100,000 a day production, but you'll also have the opportunity to film world-class video content with 8K cameras, on stabilizing gimbals, aerial drones. Some of the workshops we even do underwater cameras, and we're creating this mind-blowing content that you can use for your video reels that will massively maximize how much money and how many bookings you can get as a photographer / director, because it really will make a huge difference in your career. It certainly did for me. It completely transformed me. When I started shooting video, Burberry was very interested, and they hired me on shooting actually a Burberry commercial, and then hired me again to shoot another Burberry commercial, which was amazing. I did 2 in like 6 months. It was incredible. Now, we have some upcoming experiences. We have one coming up at the French Dream Castle. Now, this is my 49-room 13th century palace that I own. This is in Massy-en-Cambrai. I actually fly here tomorrow. I'm actually flying to my palace in France tomorrow, and I'm going to be directing the last session of the Photographers University live from my castle. I'm going to be doing it from the parlor room, which is all decked out in 24-karat gold chandeliers and wall sconces. Unbelievable location, and we're going to be doing it live from the castle. And then we're also going to be conducting a whole series of live webinars from the castle coming up throughout the summer, because I'm going to be at my castle for the next 3 months, and I'm going to be filming and photographing some mind-blowing content and invite you guys to join me. So it'll be a lot of fun. I'm super excited. But as you can see, this is a sequence that I shot. This sequence was, you know, the reason I bought this castle was not just to have a fabulous palace in France, but also I'm using it as a filming location to shoot major motion pictures, major fashion campaigns. In fact, during our session the other day with Joe Lombardo, who books Gucci, he's specifically, we have another call set up to actually introduce Gucci to the castle because we'd love to set up the next Gucci campaign there. So I'm coordinating with high-end fashion brands, high-end motion pictures, television shows. Think of like Downton Abbey. Think of Emily in Paris. You know, so high-end productions that we're doing there, as well as million-dollar weddings and million-dollar corporate events. So this is the whole purpose of this epic palace, and that's something that we happen to have a photographic workshop there. So I'm really excited about this. If you guys are interested in attending this experience, it is world class. We're shooting unbelievable top models that some of them have been in vogue. Last year we did it. We shot with unbelievable supermodels that we flew in from Milan, from Paris, from Stockholm, and the content was absolutely mind-blowing. The models were amazing, and the production was absolutely out of this world. And actually, this is some of the scenes that we shot. And we shot, you know, tremendous amounts of not only photographic content, but also video. But this gives you a little bit of an idea. In fact, this is where I'm going to be conducting in this next live webinar, as well as the next session of Photography University is this room. So this is a fabulous, fabulous location. During the workshop, we have a Michelin star chef that actually cooks all of your amazing meals. We have a masseuse. Actually, the last year we have brought in 2 masseuses. We have a massage room in the Southeast Tower, giving the photographers and their guests massages. You get to stay in the castle and sleep on a $30,000 gold leaf bed in each one of the rooms, tricked out also with 12-foot projector screens, and everything is completely decadent and ridiculous throughout every one of the bedrooms. Of course, everything's included. We pick you up at the airport, we bring you to the castle, you stay at the castle, you photograph the castle. It's a 6-day, 5-night world-class experience where you get to shoot mind-blowing content. And of course, we're going to be shooting a ton of amazing video content, beautiful stuff that you guys can use to market yourself and to brand yourself on a really, really high level, whether you're into commercial advertising or whether you're into shooting cinema, or if you're into shooting weddings or portraiture. It is perfect for all photographers that want to do that. So this gives you just a little bit of a feel of some of the amazing experiences. We also have some upcoming epic productions that I also wanted to share with you guys. At New York. I know I mentioned this a little bit before, but this gives you a little bit of an example, shooting at a castle designed to be identical to King Henry VIII's palace from the 1500s. This is actually in Long Island. We shot at this location. It was amazing, with models from Versace, Georgio Armani, and a world-class Vogue stylist. This one's coming up in New York in September, and this one, there's a spot left in this, and I would absolutely love to get one of you guys on and involved in this experience that's on right now. We shoot a tremendous amount of video at this production, because the models, the talent, the production, the locations are so ridiculous, so over the top, and to walk away and get content like this, you can use your main reel and to put on your website, it really makes a difference. Huge, huge, huge difference. Absolutely love this one. This is one of our favorite workshops of the year, every single year in New York. And of course, the production's at such a high level that you can use that and you can go after Gucci. You can go after Versace. You could go after Vogue. You can go after Harper's Bazaar. You can go after high-end brands, and it will completely catapult you to the next level, because we guarantee that our photographers are going to shoot the greatest images and video of their lifetime at these workshops. And we can do that because the scale of the production, because of the quality of the production, and because I won't let you leave until you shot the greatest images of your lifetime. And if you haven't, I make sure you go back and do it again. So it's absolutely an astounding experience, shooting both in studio, like right here, and also on location. And you'll notice all this content, you guys, was shot by our attendees of the workshops. And you can tell I've coached them into guiding them on how to do it in a really beautiful way that looks really well put together, extremely professional. And also in these sequences, not only do you get some great video of the scenes, but there's some great behind the scenes too, to showcase that it's a photo shoot too, which I think is also really valuable. So even if you're filming a commercial, that's one thing. Also, if you're filming behind the scenes to show that it's a photo shoot, that's awesome too, because a lot of clients want to see the whole experience. It's really, really vital and important. And McCall, it looks like you sent over a Dropbox of some beautiful content actually shot at the workshop in Miami Beach, which is amazing.
Hi, my name's Emily.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. McCall just sent over. He shot some absolutely incredible sequences and absolutely love it. So McCall is a brilliant photographer and filmmaker. So thank you so much. Appreciate that. Okay, so yeah, and thank you so much. I mean, Gerardo Espinal says, hey, I had a coaching session with Vicente and his feedback was super helpful. This is some of my work. Thank you so much. And I'd love to hear that. When you get to talk with my coaches, it really is there for you and your benefit. It is completely free experience. If you guys do want to get involved in our in-person experiences or our 30-day accelerator with Photography University, I also strongly encourage you to do that, but totally up to you. For those photographers and cinematographers and directors who are serious about their career, though, I guarantee you this is a way to stepstone and essentially catapult yourself to the next level, a next echelon that you never even thought was possible. To create sequences like this, you know, this was actually shot by a wedding photographer where we shot this at our New York workshop and we got her published on the cover of Vintage New York City magazine with a Vogue model, shooting with epic white dresses that resembled wedding dresses, and got her published. And then she was Escalate to be able to shoot like $15,000 weddings, which is super cool. Anyway, and McCall, which is, you know, it's great to have you on. You attended the university. McCall also just attended the workshop in Miami with me. McCall just enrolled in the masterclass with us. So McCall is all in. He's just like, oh my God, I fell in love with this stuff. I know Tom J. It's so good to see you. He just attended the epic workshop we did in Newport Beach, which is absolutely incredible. Felinda Roy, we just got to see you at one of our last workshops. It was amazing to have you on, shooting unbelievable content. You've just done exceptional content at each and every one of the productions, because she's done multiple of our workshops. I know David West, I know you're enrolled in an upcoming workshop. So good to see you. We have Fred, I believe you're also coming to an upcoming workshop. So amazing to see all of you guys on. We have so many of these attendees, past attendees, new attendees. It's so good to see you guys. And I cannot wait to help you guys with filming as a photographer, because it really does make a huge difference in your career to be able to take it up a notch from being just a photographer to being a photographer / director that can shoot unbelievable content at an entire new echelon that will help you really achieve greatness. It really does. I mean, it honestly, it's kind of separates just a regular photographer to becoming a world-class photographer, director, producer that can create stuff that people just fall in love with and that really, really want to work with you. I mean, it really does take you to another level, and it allows you, it opens up the doors that you've always, maybe never even thought was possible, but it really opens up the doors to allow you to become what you've always wanted to achieve. And that's what this is all about, is really giving you that opportunity to just completely catapult to the next level and to become this world-class successful photographer and director that can create content that is just unparalleled, and that's what I get so excited about. That's why I love working with you guys, because it allows me to see you just grow, transform, and to achieve a level of success that you never even thought was possible. And when I get to see photographers achieve that, it makes me really excited. It makes me happy. It makes me fulfilled. And that's why I do this. Even though I've had a very amazing and unique career as a photographer and a director, I get some of the most joy of all by helping others, helping you guys achieve greatness and be able to create mind-blowing content that gives you the opportunity to be that world-class photographer and director that you always want to achieve. This was actually just shot at our Newport Beach workshop. This is, we actually just had another photographer enroll today in the next one coming up in February. But this was shot just on one of the days at a Laguna Beach mansion. We worked with the guys from $1 Million Listing and Frederick from $1 Million Listing, and his partner is the one that set all of this up. And as you can see, unbelievable sequences. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to the video movements here, right? This was shot by all my attendees. You'll notice walking down the stairs. And there's always a lot of movement with the gimbal. It's rarely stagnant. but there's just subtle movements. We're pulling back or we're going upward with the gimbal, moving from side to side, moving in, having them walk in, moving from around 360 around them. All these different movements, it really helps create a sense of feeling and energy right there. Beautiful movement, 360 around her with the gimbal. Sequence left to right, another left to right as they move. And when you're shooting slow-mo, some of the secret strategies I recommend is making sure that either the models are moving quickly or you're moving quickly, or both. Because if they're just slow and stagnant and it's slow-mo, it's going to be really boring. But if they're moving a ton, like if they're dancing or they're running or they're walking or whatever, like right here in slow-mo, it looks a lot more interesting. Whereas if you're just doing something very stagnant and they're just striking a pose, it's really boring. So think about that. So in slow-mo, which is most of the time when shooting fashion, for instance, and also lifestyle, I'm making sure to always shoot something in slow motion because I think that looks the best. So oftentimes I'm going to make a move. So in this circumstance, this is one of our lifestyle productions. They're moving a ton. There's a lot of energy and it's absolutely beautiful. That's a beautiful shot right there. This drone just skimming over the pool. This is another gorgeous sequence indoors. You see these, sequences moving right to left. Is it more of a middle shot, then a tight shot on their faces, then another mid shot, and a little bit wider shot with all four of them. And I'm piecing it together so that there's no jump cuts and everything's edited really smoothly throughout this sequence. And then boom, out to the location. And these are some strategies that I use that really does make a difference in filming and when you put it all together to make that magic happen. So hopefully you guys, some of these strategies that I'm talking about, this is something that we call it blocking shots, meaning, okay, the sequence is them walking across the pool or them walking through the house. Oh, I'm going to block shots, meaning I'm going to shoot the same scene from, say, 5 different angles, and I'm going to make sure that I'm going to shoot it from, say, straight on, from the side, up and down, left to right. I'm going to shoot something pulling back, overhead, around 360. Whatever it is, I'm going to block the shots, and then I'm going to have all these different shots that I can essentially piece together into that one master movement. It really, really makes a difference. Oh, and thank you so much. McCall says, I can 100% vouch for the upgrade in my images because upon my return from Miami, the Miami Beach workshop he's referring to, all of my conversations, these are with, I'm sure, decision makers, have been at literally the next level. When people see my images, I'm on a meeting. I'm on my way to a meeting right now based on my submission of some of my images. So it's been one. Thank you so much. Oh, that's amazing. And Adriana, good to see you, Adriana. I can't wait to see you in an upcoming workshop. I know you just enrolled in one, so awesome to see you on. Love to have you on, Adriana. I've loved working with you over the last few years, creating amazing content with you. So absolutely beautiful. Really gorgeous stuff here. And thank you. I really appreciate all the kind words. I'd love to see my photographers that have attended these experiences to jump on. And McCall, I mean, if you wanted to, I don't know if you're literally on the way, unless you're in front of your computer, I'd love to have you jump on and actually speak candidly because you're showing off all your beautiful pictures. And I always love to feature photographers because it's one of my favorite things. And so if you are available, let me know because I'd love to invite you on. Yeah, anyway, guys, when we are shooting this content, it really does make all the difference in the world to block shots and have as many different angles as possible. Because when you do that, the content looks so much more interesting, so much more dynamic, and we're telling stories rather than just having that boring blah image that, everyone looks the same. But when we're shooting the video version, it's a lot more interesting. By the way, since we are talking about McCall, let me go ahead and show a few of the McCall's images. And we also have video version of all of these too. Absolutely stunning. I mean, this was on our swim day in Miami Beach. We also had a couple of days of, we had 3 days of lifestyle, 2 days of swim. And McCall shot some absolutely breathtaking images. Really, really proud of McCall and all, and all the other photographers that joined us. And many of you guys are on right now, which is fantastic. These are absolutely breathtaking and gorgeous cinematic sequences. And we did video versions of each and every one of these sequences to get really, really gorgeous content that the photographers can use as directors and market themselves as directors. This is another gorgeous one. Beautiful, beautiful sequence. All shot by McCall at the workshop. And what's cool too is each and every photographer shot very different work. So even though we're all there together creating these beautiful images, we also, and video, everyone's also shooting something different. So everybody's work also looks unique and different, which I think is also fantastic. I really want to make sure that we can all have a very dynamic and unique portfolio, so that each photographer can, be their own brand, because that is what we're trying to do is, we're trying to develop you guys to have a really, really strong and powerful brand, as a photographer and director. So absolutely beautiful. And of course, being able to shoot the video versions of each and every one of these sequences does make a big difference. And this is actually me sharing some of the video content with one of the models, Selena Wagner, who's one of the top models down there in Miami, and just gives you a little bit of an idea. And this also talks about the next Miami workshop. This one is sold out every year. It's one of our favorite workshops. We have, French Castle coming up this summer. We've got September in New York, October, our Elite Masterclass that's completely sold out in LA. We have February, which is in Newport Beach, which I just showed you the world-class video of Newport at that Laguna Beach mansion. And then we have Miami Beach, which is, we have the March workshop on high fashion editorial and advertising. And that one's also a custom experience where that's an unbelievable workshop where every single year we do the masterclass, we win in the top 10 fashion photographers in America award year after year after year, which is really exciting. And I love to, showcase this. This was all done at our Elite Masterclass. And this is happening in March in Los Angeles as well. This is also done at our Elite Masterclass. Absolutely stunning. And of course, shooting video sequences of all of this as well that you guys have access to at the masterclass. It's absolutely completely insane. So if you guys are interested, let me know. Love to work with you, each and every one of you. But most importantly, when you are filming as a photographer, make sure to think of it in a storytelling format. Don't just think of it aesthetically, meaning just the graphical element. I want you to start thinking about the stories. I want you to start thinking about the moments. I want you to start thinking about, if I tell this story, how is everything going to unfold? How is the video going to be interesting to my viewer? I want you to start thinking about, the actions that we can have the models do. And I know it's a little bit different because as a photographer, they're generally more stable, right? They're standing there. But as a director, we need to make sure that they're moving. We've got to make sure that there's beautiful sequences happening. And although I absolutely love and adore this image, the one that we're looking at right now, I mean, it's stunning. I think it was shot by, I think this was maybe shot by Evan Siegel, one of our world-class photographers who actually just signed up for a 2-day one-on-one workshop that we're actually having in Australia that I'm doing with them, which I'm really, really excited about. But also, Evan, he's attended a bunch of our epic workshops over the years. I think he's done 7 workshops or something, which is really, really exciting. Okay, so we're looking right now at the photographic version of this, and then we get to see something gorgeous on our video version of this. This is the same scene, but in full color, with a video sequence, which is also absolutely breathtaking. So I love having both. I love telling stories. I love creating moments, and I encourage you guys to incorporate more movement into your photo shoots, and you can then film them to create even more dynamic video sequences. So remember, blocking shots, shooting with different angles, tight shots, mid shots, aerial shots, all the different scenes and shots, to block them together so that establishing shots so that when we edit it all together, everything can look flawless, amazing, intentional, and beautiful. And it can really, really allow your content to sing. It'll allow you to be a stronger version of yourself, and it'll allow you to raise up to the next level and be in the opportunity to land bigger and bigger campaigns. Be able to shoot the big commercial campaigns, to be able to make more money, to make $100,000 budget campaigns. I mean, that's where I'd love you guys to be. Why not? If you guys aren't currently doing that now, well, let's get you there. You know, let's get you to that moment. Let's get you to that experience to be able to create content that's on another planet, visually, aesthetically, and creatively, with your photography and video, because it is definitely possible. But a lot of it all starts with the beautiful video content. This was actually shot right here at one of our very first Elite Master classes years ago. We shot this one in collaboration with Flaunt Magazine. This is a good example of shooting video as a fashion editorial photographer. We shot this in collaboration with Flaunt. Flaunt's one of the biggest magazines. It is the biggest magazine in California for fashion. And we shot in collaboration with them, along with as an advertorial with Gents, which is a hat brand. So you see the hats. So it's like the hats with Flaunt, with high production. We shot at actually the U.S. Olympic training facility for equestrian, which actually Sabine Scott Carey, this was her horse. So if you guys know who she is, she's a silver medalist of the Olympics, the last Olympics. And we actually shot with her horses at this workshop, which is amazing. Which are like all like $500,000 to $1 million horses. And we shot with all these top models from Ford, Elite, Wilhelmina, Next, Vision, all the biggest models. So it was an unbelievable production. And obviously having something like this on your homepage really does make a difference. It's unbelievable content, and it'll really catapult you. Now, this is the example of this experience would be the March workshop in Los Angeles, to give you a little bit of a feel, a little bit of an idea of what that's all about. But having that kind of content, that's, you know, considered more of like a fashion film, you know, in a sense. And that is absolutely breathtaking, you know, doing something like that. There's another one here that I love. This was actually, this was shot actually at one of our Miami Beach experiences. This was a couple years ago that, and I really, really love the edit on this, but it's a beautiful sequence down in Miami Beach, shot with all these supermodels. These are some of the biggest swim models in Miami, including Alexa Collins, Nastasia Madsen, Lura. I mean, these are unbelievable top models, and absolutely stunning sequences that I was super proud that we shot this, that our attendees created. A mind-blowing content when creating this. So, but look at these little tight shots, mid shots, you know, spin around shot, and the edit also is really interesting. But this is a really good example of doing video as a photographer to showcase you. And this would be a great example of something you could put on the cover of your website to showcase who you are as a photographer. So I had them edit this together, and it featured me. It's got, you know, this on the, you know, with me shooting them. And it kind of has a little bit of a, not only great up close shots of them, but also the whole moment of what the experience is all about, which I think was really, really beautiful and effective. And I do encourage something like that. If you guys want to showcase some beautiful stuff on your website, having content like that, I think, is really, really, really valuable, because it can be really marketable to each, you know, to your brand. I mean, it really, really does make a difference. So I think that, you know, when you're also thinking about, say, shooting big actual campaigns, this one, now I'll have to say, I mean, I did shoot this next one I'm going to show you. I did shoot this next one with a, I shot it with a red camera, not a SLR. But this one was actually shot as a commercial for hair brand. This was a $100,000 shoot for one, I believe this was 2 days. This was a 2-day shoot. The usage was social media, and they just use this as a social media spot. And this was for the hair campaign. But you notice the way it's edited together, all these different sequences. Now, this one was a combination of both B-roll and interviewing. So you see him like interviewing her. And I had 2 cameras, one, you know, from the front, one from the side. And then I did all that beautiful B-roll as well. And we essentially, I put together essentially 4 30-second spots. And then I put together a single 2-minute overall long spot of them, just to give you a little bit of a feel. This is another one of the 30-second spots. This is, you know, this is part of the same shoot. But just to give you a little bit of an idea. But you notice some of the smooth camera work here, as well as the 2-camera setup, camera A, camera B, blocking it together with some of this, you know, the different angles from the B-roll that I put together, and then edit it together with the beautiful interview sequences of her talking about how she feels about her hair. Essentially, it was a feeling similar to what you saw in the Dove commercials, where it's about how their hair makes them feel. So when I shot this, that was kind of the intention of what we created for that brand. It was a hair brand called Unice. And even brands like that, which, Unice, a lot of people have never even heard of that brand. But, they had $100,000 budget, and I shot it multiple times for them for each production. It was $100,000 to $200,000 budgets each time. But we're shooting, video sequences of interviews plus sequences of B-roll, but I'm using exactly the same techniques that I'm showing you guys, whether I'm doing it for a major client or we're doing it at the workshops. It looks exactly the same. In fact, I've used all the same stylists, actually the exact same location and some of the same models at our Newport Beach workshop. This was actually shot in Newport Beach and Laguna Beach at 2 different locations. So just to give you a little bit of a taste, a little bit of a feel. Absolutely beautiful. But when we're shooting, whether it's with a red camera, like in that circumstance, or an R5, or if you shoot with a, say a Sony or Nikon, I mean, it's all going to create this beautiful content. In this day and age, our cameras can master it. So don't be afraid to bust out your Canon, your Nikon, your Sony, your Panasonic, whatever camera you have, and shoot with it. And if you don't have a camera that does really great video, our freaking phones are amazing. Our phones create gorgeous video. I mean, the iPhone 15, it's a stunning video camera on that thing, and that's beautiful too. So it definitely, I recommend that each and every one of you guys create this video reel, because it will completely transform your career. Trust me. Now, if you guys haven't done it already, please click on that link in the offers section. Schedule your one-on-one session with one of my photographic consultants. Trust me, it'll be so well worth your time. It's going to be something that I guarantee you is really going to make a difference in your career. And if you guys need it, I'll also put a link here to schedule as well. You can go to the website and jump on and schedule with through our website, Photographers University. We do offer in-person 5-day world-class experiences where we're going to be giving you the opportunity to photograph and film the greatest content you've ever shot in your lifetime, guaranteed. These experiences, we've been directing them for 15 years. They are the most elite workshops in the world. The reason that is because we're bringing all top celebrity stylists that style for Vogue, Vanity Fair, Harper's Bazaar, that style for top celebrities. I'm also working with the best models in the world. These are models that have been in Versace campaigns, Dolce & Gabbana campaigns, models that have been in Vogue, models that have been in the cover of Sports Illustrated, Victoria's Secret. Unbelievable top talent. In fact, the last workshop we just did in Miami, we just had one of the models just got published on the cover of Vogue this week. So really, really exciting. And the level of talent, the level of production is just next level. And the productions, they're a big investment. There's something that, it is, they range between 18K to 27K, but it's at the same scale of a $500,000 production. So you could essentially, if you have a $500,000 to spend on 5 days of massive scale production, awesome. If you don't, I encourage you guys to join one of our experiences for a tiny fraction of the cost, but you're going to get so much out of it. And it's something that I guarantee it'll catapult you to the next level. And it'll give you the opportunity to essentially circumvent the system. And instead of hustling and breaking down the doors and trying to scrap your way to the top, it'll take another decade and hundreds of thousands of dollars of production budgets over the years. Or come to one of our 5-day workshops and create the greatest content you ever shot in your lifetime, guaranteed. I think it's a good fit. And if you're not interested in that, and you can't come to one of our 5-day workshops or don't have the budget for it, I strongly encourage you guys to get involved in the Photographers University, because the Photographers University is essentially a 30-day accelerator. And by the way, I'm involved with it right now, literally, like right now, the Photographers University session is going on, and I have all these amazing photographers, and many of you guys are on right now live. You're going to be joining me next week live from the French Dream Castle, which will be really exciting. But the Photographers Accelerator, it's a 30-day accelerator. And this is only 3K. This involves 30 days with me. You get live sessions directly with me. And we do it every single week in photographic branding, photographic marketing, photographic networking, and connecting with the right people, just like we did last week with Joe Lombardo about the Gucci campaign. And then The final week is closing the deal, booking more clients, making more money, usage rights, creative fees, and how to maximize your business as a photographer, how to crush it in the industry, how to become a world-class photographer and director that's going to be unbelievably successful. And we give you every opportunity to do it. And then on top of that, not only do we share all the information, but I have one-on-one photographic coaching sessions with my world-class coaches that give you dedicated one-on-one Zoom sessions every single week to make sure that you're actually doing what it takes to be successful, making sure that we stay on top of you and coach you every step of the way. So we are vested. We have vested interest in you because we want you to be successful. We want case studies. We want more success stories. We want to see you land Dolce & Gabbana campaigns, Gucci campaigns, shoot for Vogue, win top photographer in the world award. We want you guys crushing it just like many of our photographers that have shot for Vogue, shot for Harper's Bazaar, shot for Dolce & Gabbana, photographers that have won #1 fashion photographer in the world awards. We've done it all. And we want to help you get there. Now, on top of that, there's also 40 hours of content for the session for marketing, branding, networking, and closing the deal. We also have the new session coming out in July that's going to be on the photographic creative side, storytelling, art direction, and how to pose models. And that's going to be the new first session of that one. So we have the creative side. We also have the business side. The next business session after this one starts in September. But if you guys do have an interest in taking it to the next level with your photography business, that's a really, really great opportunity to get involved with. We strongly recommend it. And if you are coming and getting involved in one of our 5-day workshops, we actually can get you included and include the $3,000 enrollment in the university as part, if completely for free, as part of enrolling in the university, in the 5-day workshop. But all of it works together because we want to give you the opportunity to create the greatest images of your lifetime and the greatest video, but we also want to see you succeed. It's super, super, super important to make sure that you guys succeed and you guys absolutely crush it in each and every one of your space. And I want all of you to film world-class video and create the greatest content you've ever shot in your lifetime, because I am all about maximizing, as you guys can tell. I mean, I started out in rural West Michigan in a village of 2,000 people with absolutely nothing, with no money. My parents were lower middle class. They didn't help me with anything. And I had to scratch my way from the bottom. I had to start off with absolutely no connections, grew up in this rural redneck town. I didn't have anything to my name. I didn't have any money. I didn't know anybody. And I had to just take out a ton of student debt. I borrowed about $150,000. I did my bachelor's in photography. I pursued my master's of fine arts to be a professor of photography in San Francisco. And then I moved to LA without a single dollar to my name, just $150,000 in debt. I didn't have any connections or relationships or family connections. I didn't have anything. And I just went all out and I hustled and I made it all work. And by the age of 24, I had already landed my first photographic agent in New York to represent me. By 25, I was shooting major 6-figure ad campaigns, and I had an incredibly successful career. And I can teach you and reveal the secret strategies throughout this process to help you get there. And throughout this process, I've been able to be a TV director and executive producer of the TV show Great Escapes that airs on CBS, which has been really incredible and rewarding. And I've, literally been filming for the last 29 days in the Maldives, which has been absolutely insane. It's been incredibly fun and rewarding. And the video content we've shot is absolutely completely over the top and amazing. And then, of course, being able to shoot the TV show has really, risen my profile and allowed my, my brand to be stronger, allowed my brand to be more powerful, allowed my brand to be more sought after by clients because I've developed it every step of the way. Not only as a celebrity fashion photographer to shoot big campaigns, but also as a TV director that also shoots commercials. And then on top of that, of course, buying this castle in France and having a 49-room 13th century palace that's absolutely breathtakingly beautiful that I'm going to be actually shooting at and staying at for the next 3 months. And I'll be broadcasting live a series of webinars from the castle and having this epic palace that we can film world-class productions in and hold $1 million events in. And also, on top of all of that, I'm in the early stages of development on a $150 million resort in the Maldives that I'm in the early stages of development. The day before yesterday, I actually met with the vice president of the Maldives and his administration. And I've been in early stages of putting together some unbelievable projects in the Maldives that I'm going to be developing. So I think big, I go all out, but every step of the way and along the way, I like to work with my photographers, and I like to make sure you guys have every opportunity for success. And I'm here to inspire, to guide, to help you guys, and to give you every possible advantage to be super successful as a photographer, as a director, and to be a complete success story that you can come away from this and do your absolute dream career that you might not have even thought was possible, but it's there, it's possible, and it's something that I can help you with. So get involved with my team, get involved with my coaches, and we will help you every step of the way to be a world-class director, cinematographer, world-class successful photographer that can shoot, land big campaigns, raise your level up in consumer photography, give you an opportunity to even be a fine art photographer, give you the opportunity to essentially become that sought after brand where instead of you just, waiting for the phone to ring or hoping to rely on being able to get, relationships through who you know or through referrals, but actually have people contacting you, have opportunities that you just never even thought were possible come to light. We can help you get there. That's my promise to you. We do everything that we can to help and guide my photographers to become world-class creatives. That's what this is all about. Well, I can't wait to see you guys in person. If you guys haven't done it already, set up a session. I'm also going to have my coaches reach out to you guys personally, set up sessions with you. And I really encourage you guys to take advantage of that because I want to make sure that you guys are coached and guided along the way to achieve the success and the same kind of success that I want for you that I have. I can't wait to work with each and every one of you. Thank you so much for joining, and I'll see you guys soon.